Alright, so some of the best monitors you can use on your COBB Accessport to make sure everything is running smoothly, and just double check and make sure everything is not giving any issues as you drive the car and sort of beat on it. Welcome to the channel, guys. This is Jules City, also known as Jules at MK7 on the IG. As always, you can go ahead and follow me there. I'll go ahead and leave my @ in the description. So for this video, I want to go over a few things when it comes to the COBB Accessport, things to monitor that I feel like would be pretty useful when you drive the vehicle and just do some spirited driving, wink wink. So let me go ahead and kind of set this up here, and we're going to start the car. Oh, and just ignore that check engine light. Car here, maybe we can shut that. Much better. And we're gonna go ahead and let this load. So there's a couple things. If you're new to Accessport as a whole, basically you get to monitor 6 different things at the same time when you drive. This is what I currently have running on my Mark 7, my 2019 GTI. First things first, this one I recommend this to everyone. This is going to be your boost pressure, PSI. So most people think that they can just go ahead and monitor the function on the car that says boost pressure, but you want to go ahead and actually monitor, it's going to say relative manifold pressure. That's the one you want to use because it's going to give you a more accurate reading. Usually if you use the regular boost pressure PSI, and I've seen this on a lot of other GTIs, they think they're peaking at 30 PSI or 29, and that's not actually the case. You want to go ahead and monitor relative manifold pressure because that's going to be much more accurate and give you the actual PSI that your engine or the turbo is receiving. Alright, second thing, let's turn on the AC. The second thing on the list is going to be your IATs. This is pretty useful because especially if you're running like a aftermarket intercooler, you can kind of see the temperature decrease as you go ahead and go down. Some people also like to monitor the charge air temperature, but I prefer just to do the IATs because I can go ahead and compare it to the weather outside. So as you can see, it is 66 right now in the car. It's been sitting, I just came back from a good drive, so it's a little bit on the warmer side and we're just sitting stationary. But basically, the more you accelerate and the more wind hitting the front of the vehicle, this will go ahead and drop down. You want to make sure you monitor this. Usually it can be anywhere between like 5 to 10 over ambient when you're full throttle. So for example, 66 degrees out there would mean that on full throttle I would be seeing possibly about like 75-ish on my IATs. Again, that's just a rough estimate. It depends on, you know, how much wind you're getting in the car, if you're in a shady area, breeze, etc, etc, etc. But it's a good way to kind of see what's going on with the IATs, just to double check that. Third thing is going to be, actually no, we're gonna skip this one. We're gonna start here. So third thing is going to be the knock retard cylinder for cylinder 1, and this goes for cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, yada yada yada. Basically, this is good to monitor because as you are doing some driving, you're hitting some wide open throttle or full throttle in the car. Sometimes, depending on the tune you have, how aggressive it can be, again, how hot it is outside with the air temperatures, you can go ahead and see some negative numbers displayed right underneath as you drive. If the engine is knocking or the cylinder is knocking, it'll go ahead and show some numbers as you accelerate, but basically down below is going to show the minimum and maximum that it had hit during the drive. So it's good to monitor because you want to make sure that when you are accelerating that this isn't knocking too much. Some knock, I don't want to say it's good, but basically it's not knocking at all, then it just could potentially mean that there's some power left on the table. Obviously you want to talk to your tuner about that, but basically I like to watch this all the time. Anything above -3 is considered on the bad side, where I start getting suspicious and monitor it much more carefully. The thing about knock retards is that sometimes the road is a little bumpy, sometimes you didn't shift it right if you're a manual transmission like myself, 6-speed for the win by the way. Sometimes that can kind of alter it a little bit, and that's what they call ghost knock, and it just means that you're gonna get a knock right there but it wasn't actually knocking in a cylinder. So just something to keep in mind, which is why I necessarily get suspicious if it's above -3, so -4, 5, 6, Hopefully it's not that high, because that's not good for your cylinder. Moving on, the next one, it's going to be knock retard average. So there's some debate that I've seen with a few COBB owners where they'll go ahead and say, hey, you know what, I'll just monitor the retard average for knock count. That way I can get an average account or average count for all 4 cylinders versus just going one by one, taking up all 4 slots. While that might sound like a good idea, I kind of actually switched back to monitoring both cylinder 1 and cylinder 4. And the reason for that is because while you may be monitoring your knock retard average, you don't know if that knock count is only accounting for 1 cylinder. So for example, what I have noticed when I was on my IS-20 tune is that I was monitoring knock retard average. It was less than -3. I think it was 1.88 or 2 or whatever. It was less than -3. And what I've noticed is that all that was in that average was only hitting on cylinder 1. So cylinder 2, 3, 4 were fine, but only cylinder 1 was knocking. So that's not ideal, because if only 1 cylinder is knocking, then there might be something wrong with that cylinder, and you don't want to keep pushing the car to where it'll give more damage or potential damage to that 1 cylinder. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, you can go ahead and monitor your knock retard average, but you don't know if it's hitting just in 1 cylinder. So I tell people now, you know what, just monitor all 4 separately, or at least just to get everything started. Or if you know you're gonna have a good tune and everything is good, you tested it out, then you can go ahead and do like myself. Well, I'll monitor the average count and then 2 other cylinders just in case. So if these 2 are 0, cylinder 1 and 4, but this still has a number, that means either cylinder 2 or 3 were knocking. And then I can go ahead and swap these out for 2 and 3 and then keep the average there. So it's a good way to monitor technically all 4 cylinders in a way without taking up the 4 slots. So that's going to go ahead and lead me to my next gauge here, and this is going to be the injection timing window. This is a new one, and it was sort of recommended. I don't know if you guys know him. It's Sleepy GTI on the IG, but basically this gives you a pretty good depiction if your injectors are over fueling or staying open longer than they should have, which is not good on these TSI motors. So this one's pretty easy. If it ever hits 1 on this side, it means that your injectors might have stayed open a little bit longer than they should have, which can lead to potential problems in the future. Basically what this means is that one of your injectors might not be functioning properly. It could be either clogged, faulty, could need a cleaning, etc, etc. So basically what happened to me, and I'll give you my personal example here, is that when my cylinder 1 was the only one knocking more than -3, then I started monitoring this, because when I checked my spark plugs, the spark plugs were good. I checked the coil packs looks okay. And I'm running factory coil packs here. Those things were good. I pre-gapped them, everything was good. But yet I was still getting knock in cylinder 1. So that leads to one other thing. The injector probably wasn't spraying correctly. So again, it could have been just faulty, could have been clogged, etc, etc. So I monitored this, and lo and behold, this went to 1 during one of my wide open throttles. So yeah, I basically, because I didn't know at the time, I had bought a new injector from VW because I thought this shit is fucked up and I need to get it replaced before cylinder 1 goes kaboom. No, but in all honesty, here, let me show you what the old one looks like. Alright, so this is the injector. It might be kind of harder to see because it's in this plastic. I'll take it out in just a moment. You can already kind of see there's some gunk on the tip there. Here, let me show you. This right here was cylinder 1's injector, and as you can see, zoom in for ya. It's not too bad. The fuel kind of dried up already. This was running on both 91 and full 85, switching back and forth in between for the lifetime of the vehicle. I mean, since I got it. So if you look closely, there is some very tiny holes on the tip of that injector there. Sometimes those can get clogged up, again, which isn't good. So if this is spraying less or more fuel than the other cylinders, then that fucks up your air to fuel ratio, which I'm not monitoring it here, but you can monitor it on your data logs. It messes up your air to fuel ratio because one of the cylinder might be running too lean, and then kind of messed up a piston there. Cylinder 1 can go kaboom. So I fixed this, swapped it out, and guess what? the retard cylinder count for cylinder 1 is gone. 90% sure this is probably what was causing that, so swapped it out for like a new one, and now everything works great. But that's kind of why I say all of these four kind of tie in together, because you're basically monitoring all 4 cylinders either separately or together, and you can use this if you're still in receiving knock count even after swapping out plugs and coil packs. Another thing I like to monitor, and this is gonna be a bonus right here. Where is it? There it is, gearbox oil temperature. I like monitoring this one because on cold starts, you know, you want to go ahead and wait before you can start to beat on the car or give it some heavier throttle and more aggressive shifts. I usually wait until this is about like 180 to 194. The highest temperature is going to be 194 Fahrenheit. That just means that your gearbox, your transmission is fully warmed up, and then now you can go ahead and give it a little bit more aggressive shifts. Damn, dirtying up my fingers here, damn. And go ahead and give it more aggressive shifts versus on a cold start. People think that, yeah, once the RPM drops and then the coolant temperature there is, you know, 190 plus 200, I can go ahead and start beating on this. No, you want to go ahead and wait for this because it's just a lot better, and you also feel smoother shifts, because even though the car is warming up, it might be stationary in neutral the whole time, so the gearbox might still be cold while the engine temperature could be warm. So this is a quick little bonus one, nice to have again on those cold starts, and I can't complain about that. It's pretty cool. These are basically the 6 monitors that I would recommend to run in your COBB Accessport. Again, this is mostly for the VW guys, but I guess it still could apply to any other COBB users like the Mazdas, the STI, EcoBoost, all the other COBB platforms that there is out there. I know each platform is a little bit different, but this is just like a good idea of what you can look at just to make sure everything is running smoothly. It gives you a good overview. There are a few others, but I feel like these were the most important, at least to me, that I like to monitor. This is what I run actually, and I'll go ahead and keep the gearbox oil temperature on again. But if there's anything you feel like I might have missed out, let me know. Do you run any other type of monitors on your COBB Accessport? Anything I might have missed out, drop it down in the comments below. And as always guys, this is Jules City. Follow me on IG, jules.mk7. By the way, the IS38 is in the car already when you're watching this. That's gonna come out in the next video, so stay tuned for that. I'm not gonna show it to you right now. This is basically just a video for your COBB Accessport. 6-speed for the win, huh? I'll go ahead and see you guys on the next one, okay? Peace.